Hi, this is Ron Darling.
This is Skip Lockwood.
Hi, I'm Ron Swoboda of the 69 New York Mets, and you're listening to Mets Musings with Gary Mack.
Now it's time for some New York Mets baseball talk. Here's Gary Mack bringing you the latest news and analysis from Mets Nation and the world of baseball on another edition of Mets Musings.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Mets Musings. I'm your host, Gary Mack, and I'd like to start off today with a thought. If you're thinking about it and watching this on YouTube, please hit that free subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, and it helps me to continue bringing you great Mets news. And while you're at it, leave a comment as well. That way I'll know what to talk about and what's coming up and what's good, what you like, what you don't like. Or you can just ask a question. I'd be happy to answer it if I can. Anything at all. But hit the comment button and the subscribe button, and you'll always be in the know when another edition of Mets Musings comes out. So let's get right into it. The NL finally won an All-Star game. It was the first in history of the All-Star game in Major League Baseball. They had a home run swing-off to win it, and Philly slugger Kyle Schwarber went deep 3 times in his allotted swings to give the NL the lead, and Tampa's Bay Aranda was unable to answer in the AL's last try, and this one went to the National League. Now, Pete Alonso was up next. He was in the hole, if you will, for the National League, but he did not have to go as the American League could not catch the National League's total there at the end of the tie game. Now, Pete Alonso kind of got ripped off as the MVP in his game. He would have been the MVP, but the bullpen let him down, let the National League down. They got off to a quick start. The National League had a 2-0 lead, and then Pete hit a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 6th to give the National League a 5-0 lead. Corbin Carroll added on to make it 6-0. The bullpen would blow that 6-run lead. The American League tying it up 6-6. And then we went to the extra inning and the home run swing off. Now, had the bullpen able to shut him down at 6-5 or 6-4, Pete Alonso it looked like the MVP of this game because of his 3-run homer, but it went to the home run face-off, and he never got a chance to even get up at bat. So the National League wins the game. Let's see, how did the other Mets do in the game? Edwin Diaz came in, and he came in with 1 out in the 9th inning. Tying run was on second. He hit 100 miles per hour on the radar gun. He allowed a sharp line drive to Jazz Chisholm Jr., which Matt Olson of the Braves snagged, made a nice play, and then gave up a swinging butt to Stephen Kwan, who beat it out easily, and the run scored, tying the game. Officially, it was an ill-deserved blown save for Diaz, who was just one of those for the Mets this season. Just a stroke of bad luck. Francisco Lindor didn't do much at the plate in this game, but made a couple of nice plays in the field. one play in particular against Javi Baez. He went deep in the hole and was able to throw him out in time. That was a really nice play. He made, I think he had 3 assists in 1 inning, 2 if I'm not mistaken. So he had a busy night, flashed the glove, but no hits from Francisco Lindor. David Peterson pitched, looked very good in his first All-Star game outing. He was a late addition to the NL roster, but he came in and had to face the heart of the AL's order in the 4th inning, and he struck out Riley Green and got Aaron Judge to ground out, but Cal Riley and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. hit consecutive singles to put Peterson briefly in trouble before he induced an inning ground out from Ryan O'Hearn. So it was a positive showing by David Peterson in his first All-Star outing, so good on him. And of course, we mentioned Pete Alonso already, and his performance with his 3-run home run to right center to give the NL a big lead at that particular point in time. But all the Mets performed pretty well. We were all pretty happy with what they did. Didn't embarrass any themselves or the team. But now we look into the second half, and the Mets are 55-42. They ended up in second place at the All-Star break. A half a game behind the Phillies. They lost that last game and it just flip-flopped. They actually had the lead. So with all the issues the Mets have gone through this year, to be in a position of second place and solidly in the wild card and only a half a game out of the division, we really can't complain. Between the injuries, the losing streaks in June, especially the rotten month they had there, to be in this position still at the break is not bad. We are going to get some healthy pitchers back, so that's going to be good. The starting pitching should have a rotation that looks like, and this is in no particular order, but Kodai Senga will be back. Of course, Peterson, Clay Holmes, Frankie Montas, and Sean Manaea. Senga pitched a game already, went 4 innings, looked pretty good. Manaea came back, pitched 3 or 4 innings. He looked pretty good. He unfortunately got the loss late in the game, but it doesn't matter. He looked very sharp and looked like the Sean Manaea of old. So if he can pitch that way, the Mets will be in good shape. Now, there are some questions. First off, with the rotation, are they going to stick to a 5-man? Are they going to go to a 6-man rotation? What are they going to do with Clay Holmes? Will he be in the rotation the whole second half? Or would you consider moving him back to the bullpen to save his arm? Now, don't forget, he has pitched more innings this year than he's ever pitched before. He was a relief pitcher for a number of years. So, do you try to conserve him at this particular point and take him out of the rotation and move him to the bullpen? Or do you just keep pitching him and see whether or not, build him up for the coming years? That's a question that will have to be answered in the second half. The trade deadline. What will the Mets do at the trade deadline? And this is the big discussion and that everybody's going to have now for the next few weeks until the 31st when the deadline is up. The Mets have shown interest in a couple players. Rumors abound, of course, they always do. Talk of bringing in a center fielder, a third base, even people have talked about, which I'm not sure I totally agree with. Defensively, Maurizio and Beatty are doing a really good job. Yes, they haven't hit like you expected them to hit, but I think they've hit enough to keep them in these positions and let them try to win this job more. Vientos is back, has shown some signs in this last series against Kansas City that he's found his stroke. He probably will primarily DH at this point, but we'll see how that works out. But there has been talk of third base. An analyst on SNY suggested that they try to get Corey Seager from Texas, that he may be available, and due to his large contract, it wouldn't cost the Mets a lot of super hot prospects. They suggested a Brett Beatty and a Dom Hamill might get Corey Seager because of the contract. Texas would get the contract relief, and the Mets, of course, would add money to the contract, but that's not a problem with Steve Cohen. So that's one possibility. Center field is another spot that everybody talks about upgrading to, but to be honest, the upgrades that they suggest doesn't seem that big of an upgrade. I mean, Luis Roberts is struggling, not having a great year. Cedric Mullins might be a slight upgrade offensively, but if you want to bat, I don't really see where that would be a terrific upgrade. Jared Duran's name has been mentioned from the Red Sox as well. I'm sure you can go down the list and find more. And of course, the other key things that the Mets may be looking to add is more than likely relief pitching and a starter. Starters a touchy situation as well. Do you bring up somebody from AAA? Blade Tidwell had a couple of starts, looked decent in those last start. Maybe you give him a couple more chances if you want to add a starter. There was talk about Mitch Keller from Pittsburgh, Zach Gallen from Arizona. Yes, Arizona. Dylan Cease's name came up again from San Diego, but who knows if San Diego being in the mix, if they're going to be a seller in this marketplace. So there are a lot of names. You're going to hear a lot of rumors in the next couple of weeks, of course. We'll see what the Mets decide to do. But those are the positions that they're looking. They would like to get a bat. They would like to get a relief pitcher, add to the bullpen, and perhaps even another starter, because you never can have enough starting pitching. But do you want to give up the prospects? That's the other point of it. I don't know about you, but it bugged the heck out of me to see Pete Crow Armstrong playing center field in the All-Star game for the Cubs, and who we traded for, Javi Baez, went to Detroit after his season with the Mets and did nothing here. It was stunk here. Went to Detroit, stunk there for a couple of years, but had a comeback this year and was playing center field for the American League. That bugged me no end. Shouldn't have got rid of Pete Crow Armstrong. And I hope they don't make that. This is a new regime, so I hope they don't go in that direction and trade a Carson Bench or somebody high like that for a short-term player, especially. Mitch Keller has a couple of years on his contract. I think would be owed $54 million. He's got 3 years. If you could get him for some reasonably low prospects, I would consider that deal. But teams are going to try to hold you up. And it comes down the potential of that you don't know about versus a proven veteran. But I don't want to trade a high prospect unless you're absolutely sure you can sign them. Don't want to go down that road again. No, not at all. I mean, they did it before, and it has never really worked out. Even the Edwin Diaz Robertson Cano deal, which a lot of people label the first couple of years, as I did, the worst trade in Mets history. The players whose names escape me haven't panned out. They're both in the majors, I believe, but they didn't pan out as superstars, and that's okay. But it's still, they made the majors and in positions the Mets could use. Pete Crow Armstrong now. You see, they traded him, quick fix with Javi Baez, and it didn't work out. He was gone after the half a season, and now they're looking for a center fielder when it could have been Pete Crow Armstrong, and you played the rest of the season with what you had instead of adding Javi Baez, who really did nothing for the team. So there's that kind of deal. That's what kind of turns you off to the thought of trading some prospects. Now, if it's some prospects that, if it has to be a Maurizio or a Beatty, I'm a Brett Beatty fan. I would like to see him stay and get a good long shot at third base. But look, if you can get the right deal for somebody like that, then I would consider it, because you do have a Maurizio or something like that to take his place at third base, or Vientos if he starts hitting again. But got to keep saving those number one draft picks, because you just never know. And like last year's Carson Bench, he looks like a real player. So I don't think you want to move him. Hopefully they won't move him. He's hit at Brooklyn and now got promoted to Binghamton. And after a slight adjustment, he's starting to hit there as well. So don't want to mess too much. So I would be apt not to trade any of the prospects unless they were absolutely sure it was a good deal and that they could either sign the guy or a guy that has a couple of years on his contract. The Mets have shown some interest in free agent David Robertson, 40-year-old, according to Will Salmon of The Athletic. According to Salmon, Robertson will be throwing for interested clubs, and multiple teams are expected to attend one of his throwing sessions within the next week. The veteran right-hander declined a $7 million player option last offseason, opting instead for a $1.5 million buyout. So he thought he was going to get picked up. Has not been picked up by anybody yet. He did pitch for the Mets and pitched well when he was here. So maybe a reunion with David Robertson, that would be a boost to the bullpen, and that would help them immensely. And we'll see. The next few weeks are going to be interesting. We've got 2 weeks exactly to the trading deadline as we record this on July 17th. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But Mets start the second half of the season, 3 versus Cincinnati at home and 3 versus the LA Angels at home. And then they're off and running to the second half. All right, now it's time to look at the injury update, and boy, this is going to go on forever. This could last a long time. Jose Buto is out with an undisclosed illness. He was put on the 15-day IL, retroactive to July the 1st. He's expected to return for this weekend series after the All-Star break. Excuse me. Right-handed pitcher Max Kranick, he's out with a right flexor strain, retroactive to June 16th. Still no word on when he may be back, and it looks like he's going to need Tommy John surgery, so we will count him out. Deadneil Nunes has had Tommy John surgery. He is out. We will see him in a year or two. Jesse Winker came back for about 2 days and then has had lower back inflammation. He went on the IL July 11th. He's going to be on for 10 days. And then they will see they have treated him with medication and heat and all the other stuff that they do for lower back inflammation, and we'll get more on him as we go along. Paul Blackburn is out with a right shoulder impingement on July the 3rd. He went on the IL for 15 days. He should be ready to come back after the All-Star break, but we'll probably go to Port St. Lucie or Brooklyn after the break to get back in shape. Starlin Marte went on the IL, the 10-day IL, July the 8th, retroactive to July the 7th. And he has right knee soreness. It was not that bad, just some inflammation, and he should be back sometime after this break. Tyler McGill, he began a throwing program on July the 5th after getting a good MRI showing a significant reduction in inflammation. He went out with a right elbow sprain, but he was transferred to the 60-day IL on July the 8th, pushing his earliest possible activation to August 14th. So it'll be a while before he's back. Brooks Raley, he has recovering, of course, from Tommy John surgery. He began a minor league rehab assignment a month ago, has made 5 scoreless appearances, and will probably be back within the next few days. His 30-day clock should be up today or maybe in a couple of more days, so we may see him soon. Brooks really may be back, so look for that as well. And that's your injury update going into the second half. And in other Mets news, the Mets signed the 19-year-old pitcher Matteo Morelli. He is the first European amateur signing in Mets history. He and the Mets will make their agreement. They made their agreement official at a small ceremony last Saturday in Rovigo, Italy. The son of a ski instructor, Morelli gravitated toward baseball and specifically to the mound. Over the years, the right-handed Morelli developed 5 distinct pitches, including a kick change he perfected by watching social media videos. Once he formally joins the Mets, Morelli will begin his professional career in the Dominican Summer League, playing alongside mostly Latin American teenagers. His challenges will include acclimating to the culture and the weather. If Morelli succeeds, he will eventually make his way to full season ball in Florida with an eye, of course, of reaching the Queens City Field one day in the near future. So Mets signed their first European player ever. So, whew, lots of news, lots of stuff going on. So let's take a break now and be back with the draft report down on the farm and find out what the heck is going on there. But stay tuned and watch this.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for interesting baseball talk, opinions, and history.
Baseball and BBQ, your place for barbecue recipes, tips, and interviews from the world of barbecue. If you like baseball and if you like barbecue, then tune in to Baseball and BBQ. Find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and BaseballTalkRadio.com.
And we're back, and now it's time to go down on the farm. Well, Major League Baseball held its Major League Amateur Draft over the All-Star break, and with the Mets signing Juan Soto, I hope I get this right. They gave up their first and second round early picks, but they got a competitive, balanced round A pick. Anyway, they picked number 38 overall, and they got Mitch Voigt. They call him a two-way player, but they said he hasn't pitched in a couple of years. So, out of the University of Michigan, Mitch Voigt was highly recruited. People like him. It was a good pick for the Mets, according to all that the experts. And they announced today that they have signed Mitch Voigt to a contract. He was selected 38th overall in the 2025 MLB draft. He will begin his career in Port St. Lucie. He will be available to the media at Citi Field on Friday, July 18th. And that is tomorrow. So the first round pick of 2025 of the Mets, Mitch Voigt, is in the house. He's in the organization now, signed, sealed, and delivered already. That was quick. So good luck to him as he begins his major league, his professional baseball journey to the major leagues, and all high hopes for him. Another infielder. The Mets picked in the third round, 102 overall pick, Antonio Jimenez, a shortstop out of the University of Central Florida. He delivered solid offensive production at UCF, slugging 11 home runs in his sophomore year. Right-handed pitcher, round 4. They went with Peter Cuso at high school, Arrowhead High School in Wisconsin. The Mets grabbed the 6'5" right-hander who's been up to 97 with a sharp slider. He is committed to Louisville, but we'll see what he decides, and he is one of the more intriguing prep arms in the Midwest. With the 163rd pick in round 5, the Mets picked Peyton Prescott of Florida State University, another pitcher, right-handed pitcher. They added another big arm who was up to 100 miles an hour before needing Tommy John surgery this summer. So he is a bit of a project, as they'll see how he recovers from Tommy John. And this isn't the first time they've done this. They've drafted guys and taking the chance. And now, a little lower in there is worth the opportunity. And then they went on. The second day. They went heavy into pitching. Nathan Hall, they pitched at a right-handed pitcher from University of Central Missouri. Round 7, they picked Cam Tilley, right-handed pitcher out of Auburn. A lot of college they're going for. I like to see that. Round 8, they picked Camden Lohman, a right-handed pitcher from high school. Round 9, Anthony Frobose, a shortstop from Lakeland High School in New York. Round 10, Tyler McLaughlin, a right-handed pitcher from the University of Georgia. Round 11, Wyatt Vincent, an outfielder from Nixer High School in Missouri. Round number 12, Truman Pauly, a right-handed pitcher from Harvard University. Round 13, Frank Camarillo, a right-handed pitcher from Santa Barbara. Round 14, a right-handed pitcher, James Smith IV from the University of Memphis. Round 15, they picked Connor Ware, a left-handed pitcher from Louisville, Louisiana State University. And round 16, Zach Mack, a right-handed pitcher from Loyola Marymount University. Round 17, they picked Sam Robinson, shortstop from Northwest Shoals Community College. Dylan Stiltner, a right-handed pitcher from Trinity Christian School in Georgia, was picked round 18. Round 19, Joe Scarborough, right-handed pitcher from Jacksonville State. And finally, round 20, another right-handed pitcher, 6'13" pick, Garrett Stratton out of Rice University. So, they went kind of with a mixed bag as they want to build a deep and versatile farm system, blending high upside arms with position talent players. So, as I said, pitching heavy on day 2. And Voit was really the crown jewel of this draft for the Mets. He's athletic, he's competitive, and seems to have the tools to impact, hopefully, today and in the long term. So we'll see how he works out. And as I said, he'll be going to Port St. Lucie. And speaking of Port St. Lucie, well, not only Port St. Lucie, but the minor leagues. Let's take a look at the minor league standings, and some of the top prospects are doing well. Jet Williams had a great week in the Eastern League for Binghamton. He continues to remain hot and really establishing his name again. Jacob Raymer is performing well for Binghamton, as well as Carson Baines have both. Now, Brooklyn slipped a little because they did so well there. They had so many great players, and they moved them up. But they still got A.J. Ewing there, and this kid's terrific to watch. So let's take a look at the standings as they stand now. These are the second half standings for Syracuse. They are 13-5 in the second half. In second place, a game and a half out of first in their division. Binghamton is tied for first in their division. They are at 12-6. They have a 2-game lead in the second half. Brooklyn is 11-10, struggling a little bit out of the box in the second half. They are in third place, 4 games behind in their division. St. Lucie is in first. They are 14-6, and they have a 1.5 game lead. And bringing up the real is the Florida Complex League Mets, 21-26. They moved up to third place. They're 12.5 games out of the lead. So that is your standings in the minor leagues. Do not have for the Dominican Summer League, but everybody else is here. So that's how they're doing that. Keep in mind, Syracuse, Binghamton, and Brooklyn, and St. Louis, I think they all won. I'm sorry, Binghamton, Brooklyn, and St. Lucie all won their first division, first half the division championship, so they are automatically in the playoffs at the end of the regular season in September, and so there's that to look forward to. But it looks like, the way Binghamton and St. Lucie playing, they could win both halves of this. Syracuse is up there. They could jump into the playoffs if they can win the second half division. And Brooklyn is, 4 games out, but they could make that up and get back into the race. And as I said, they'll be in the playoffs. And that's kind of the crazy part about minor league baseball, though. The whole idea, of course, is develop players for the majors and to move them through the system. But, you put together a good team like Brooklyn, had a great first half, and then guys get promoted, and then maybe the guys coming in aren't as good, or it takes them some time to get accustomed to a different league, and then they go into the playoffs, and it's not the same team that really got them there in the first place. But that's that's the way it goes. I mean, that's baseball, and that's the way the game is played. So there's not much you can do about it except wish they had a better way of doing it, but unfortunately there is not. So you just grin and bear it, and that's it. What can you do? All right, as I said, the Mets are home for 3. Actually, they'll be home for 6. 3 with Cincinnati and 3 with the LA Angels. I'm actually going to the game next Wednesday, so we'll have a report maybe next Thursday on that game. Probable pitchers for Cincinnati is Nick Lodolo. He is at 6-6 on the year. He's going to go Friday. Nick Martinez is scheduled to go on Saturday. He's at 6-9 on the year. And Andrew Abbott is scheduled to go on Sunday. He's 8-1. The Mets have not set up a rotation as we record this. They have not set up any rotation so far for this series, so we do not know in what order. Now, they should have 4 of the 5 should be ready to go. David Peterson pitched Tuesday. He only pitched an inning, but he did pitch. So if they gave him his regular time off, he would pitch Sunday, perhaps. But we'll see how they decide to mix it. They all should be well rested and ready to go. The bullpen should be well rested as well. Edwin Diaz pitched an inning, but he's going to have a few days off before getting back in the action. So the bullpen's going to have at least 4 or 5 days off. Most of the starters are going to have at least 4 days off, if not more. So we'll see how they set the rotation up going into the second half of the year. And I think that's going to wrap it up for this week's show. A lot of stuff to to cover. This has been a longer show than normal, but I wanted to get it all in. And one more thing before I go, I want to congratulate my good friends Len and Jeff of Baseball and BBQ, the podcast. They just put out their 300th episode. 300, and I'm very proud of them. They've done a great job. It's a terrific show. Go find it. It's on all your podcast apps, Baseball and BBQ, Jeff and Len, and they do a terrific job. It's a very entertaining podcast, so go check it out, please, and listen to it. And congratulations, guys, on 300 episodes. It's just incredible. I remember their first episode, and they weren't sure that we were going to do a second one. And then they got into a groove, and they went, and now they have great guests from the world of baseball and the world of barbecue. So you got to go check it out. Baseball and BBQ, and you guys are the best. All right, so I will see you again next time. And until then, remember to keep the faith, stay optimistic, and let's go Mets. And I'm Gary Mack, and I'll see you next time on another edition of Mets Musings.